Welcome to the mailbox, another Wednesday evening. This broadcast is live and it happens every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. here on Love 101 FM, the family station. I am Pastor Courtney Morrison, and with me is my co-host Kevin Bailey. And our sponsors are Fosrich Company Limited, your electrical, solar, and lighting people. Indeed, November is Drug Awareness Month. And so we speak to it. And not only is it Drug Awareness Month, it's Parent Month, it's Youth Month. And also the 19th of November is International Men's Day. And we want to big that up, celebrate it, because this is all about men. Kev, how you do?
Yeah, doing good, Courtney, doing good, and you're sounding good as well. Of course, we want the man them to know from one point in the grill that man a man in the place, and we will be big up November 19, right, as we celebrate the man them. November is a great month. Actually, it's the month for my wife to celebrate her birthday. Actually, it's today, and so I have to say happy birthday, Merle Bailey. This is her birthday, so in order for me to stay alive, I need to say that. All right, but it's great to be with the
You
mother.
ready is gonna get you, boy.
Yes, yes. So, Courtney, today's topic: the substance abusing man. The substance abusing man, the smoker, the drinker, and the snorter. We're looking at addiction, differences in gender, drug abuse, and the risk factor, of course, factor as well. Addiction behavior and substance abuse prevention is very important because prevention is always better than cure. What you say, Courtney?
All the time. An ounce of prevention
Yeah.
is better than 10 ounce of cure. And at all time, it's always better to avoid
Oh,
and not to contract than to actually have it and then try to get rid of the addiction. Sometimes to try to get rid of the addiction can be quite a painful, rigorous event. But I'm not the specialist, nor am I the professional on this topic. And today we have two wonderful guests with us. That's Dr. Kirk Jones. He's a medical doctor and founder. He's the CEO at Comfy Home Medical Services. And we also have with us Mr. Daniel Brown, who is a substance abuse officer at the National Council on Drug Abuse. These two gentlemen are the professionals, and they are the ones that will speak to this topic today for us right here on the mailbox. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Dr. Kirk Jones, good to have you with us.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much
whoa!
for
I
having me.
think we're gonna have a great time. Just want to
Definitely.
So it's good to have you. Is Mr. Daniel Brown with us as well?
yes. So
All right.
we will be joined by Mr. Daniel Brown, substance abuse officer. So is Dr. Jones here? Um, what? Just want to remind our listeners to watch the program live on social media, Facebook, 101 FM Jamaica. Man and man, you can give us a call at 876-968. That's 876-968-8327 or 876-968. Ladies, comment via Facebook, YouTube, or via our WhatsApp line at 876-997-125. And we want to ask a question. So on social media, this is the top and our friends can impact him to start smoking, drinking, or snorting. The question is, do you think a man environment or friends can impact him to start smoking, drinking, or using drugs.
I'm not sure.
I think Courtney might be having
We, we seem to be having a little
some challenges
difficulty,
as well.
technicality
But
with internet.
I'm hoping.
Good afternoon, Mr. Daniel Brown. Good to have you with us. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. We we want to give a shout out to all the mandem, those online and those on air and those who are with us. At this time, we usually just give a count of 1, 2, 3 and then shout Monday. And so we want to do that right now. So I want you, Dr. Jones and Mr. Brown, to just join me in shouting out to all the men because some good men are around the place, no matter what they say. So let's go. After 3, 2, 3. Monday! No, man.
Man them there.
No, man.
Man
That
there.
sounds like some dignified shout. I want some undignified shouting where you shout, Monday! So after 3, let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. Monday!
Man there.
Man them
Yes.
there.
So
Man them there.
we're talking about drug abuse and our men in particular who abuse substances. And so we want to talk about those who smoke, those who abuse smoking, those who abuse alcoholic beverages, we call them drinkers, and those who snort, those who take and imbibe through their nostrils hard drugs. I myself remember when I was in fourth form at Kingston College, I had a good friend, rich friend, apparently. He had a car and he drove me and he opened a little suitcase that had a secret compartment and he took out some white substance and he put to his nose and nostrils and sniffed and then he put it to mine. And that was the end of our friendship because I hit him once and told him to take me back to school. So Dr. Kirk Jones is a medical doctor, founder, CEO at Comfort Home Medical Service, and Mr. Daniel Brown is a substance abuse officer. No, he's not a substance abuser. He is a substance abuse officer,
No, not that.
right? At the National Council on Drug Abuse. And so we want to go into what we call the draft. Kevin, are you there with us? Let me know. I know you may be experiencing some technical difficulties. And so we want to go into a section which we call the draft.
All right, I'm going to turn back my camera.
There you are. And so we again acknowledge our sponsors, the Fosrich Company Limited, the electrical, solar, and lighting people. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Fosrich, for really ensuring that this program is aired every Wednesday at 5:30. Kev, welcome back. So, Dr. Jones, share us a bit about your line of work and company, and then we'll ask Mr. Brown to do the same following your response. Your mic is muted, Doctor.
Okay, sorry about that. Most definitely. So I am currently a general practitioner and I'm also the CEO of Comfy Home Medical Services. We are a mobile medical company. So what we do is we bring the healthcare solutions, the most comfortable ones to our patients' homes. That is, we bring a medical doctor, nurse, physiotherapist, you name it. And we even have ambulance services now. The aim is just to really to bring a different level of comfort where medical care is concerned. It's a bit different. However, we have been doing rather well. We're currently located in Kingston, but however, we are serving the following parishes. We're in St. Catherine, we're in Portmore, we're in St. Anne, St. Mary, and even Montego Bay, right? We even do intravenous vitamin therapy, which is really new to the country. It's not widely accepted as yet, but we are getting clients. People are enjoying it. And rather than want to tell you that, guys, mobile medicine is what we really and truly cherish. Look out for us. We're here to make a difference, that is, and to just make healthcare more accessible overall.
I love that, Dr. Jones. Paramedics is something that we seem to lack in Jamaica, so that mobile service could probably, who knows, become
Definitely.
paramedical. That sounds
Definitely.
good. Dr. Brown, you're Dr. Brown. I'm going further with your studies there than probably known to others.
Almost. We're working on it. Almost.
Yes, there you go. Tell us a bit about what do you do as a substance abuse officer? What's that about? Did we lose Sir Brown? We seem to be playing in and out the
I'm sorry.
window.
My connection is broken. I'm not hearing anything.
Uh, Let me therefore ask the question, Doctor. Doctor. Yeah, Doctor Jones. We're back. We're back with Sir Brown here online. What do you do? What is a substance abuse officer? And what do you
All
do
right. So
in?
basically, what we do, I work with the National Council on Drug Abuse. I'm primary response for Kingston and St. Andrew. So we work with the general population and private agencies. So we do prevention and we also do treatment. So prevention is to delay the substance for persons who have never used a substance before, is to delay that substance use. And for persons who are already using a substance, it's to help them in order to come off of that substance. So we work in offices, workplaces, schools, all over the island.
Can you give us? Thank you, Mr. Brown. Can you give us a definition for drug abuse? What is that? Tell us a bit more as we talk about this topic of substance abuse. What is drug abuse?
All right, drug abuse is we use the word now substance misuse. So basically, that is misuse in any substance. For example, you can misuse alcohol, you can misuse cigarettes, you can misuse painkillers. Any substance where if the doctor prescribes some form of medication for you to take for a prescribed time, and you go over that time, you that is considered to be misuse. So there is a wide range when it comes to misuse. It's just the abuse of any substance.
Okay, so we stop using the term drug abuse, like you said, and call it
Hmm.
substance misuse. Mr. Brown, are you there with us? Did we get that correctly? You say we speak to substance misuse now more than we speak to drug abuse? Mr. Brown, if you are with us, your mic is muted. Dr. Joe.
My
Oh, you keep going in and out. Let's Dr.
Sorry.
Kirk.
Now I'm more in a secure place where I can hear me correctly. All right, sorry about that.
So I was asking the question before. Was it, did you say we now speak to substance misuse more than we speak to drug abuse?
Yes. So the criteria has changed. Like you just said, we no longer say drug, we say substance. So it's use versus misuse, not abuse. So the language is changing, has
Okay.
changed. So for example, we also use sorry, we also say someone also has a substance use disorder. So the words are changing.
Okay. Dr. Kirk Jones, thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Dr. Jones, do you think it has gotten worse, the substance misuse, the drug abuse over the years? What's happening there?
No, not necessarily getting worse. As a matter of fact, the last research that was done to show the impact, to show, which drug of choice, and the age ranges that are really and truly being affected. The most recent one I've seen was in 2016. And I think that very same research article is still valid because it's still being used as a reference rate for a lot of doctors now. What we do find is that, however, I should make it clear, is alcohol abuse or alcohol misuse, I want to say, is the number one actually most misused drug at this point in time. And I can tell you that from the 2016 article. So no, it hasn't significantly changed. And from a subjective point of view, in terms of my patients coming in to see me or the patients that I've been visiting, um, there hasn't been really much of a shift or a paradigm shift in terms of their drug choice of abuse, and also the age ranges that are really and truly affected.
What age group is likely to misuse these substances?
Great question.
What
So,
have you seen?
right. So it's mostly adolescents. So you're looking at a typical young male, probably around the ages of, I'd say, let's just be honest, a teenager is less likely to go in to see a doctor. regarding drug misuse. But an adolescent, let's say ages 18 up towards 35 thereabout, you'd find them being more generally concerned. For example, if they're noticing that they're having some adverse effects, if certain things are affecting them socially, if they're affecting their daily performance, especially the ones who are professionals who work, who have to go to a 9 to 5. I think these persons are the ones that mostly present to me or present to my office basically for some form of assistance or counseling.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kirk Jones. We're going to take a break at this time and we're going to come right back. So far, we've been having some interesting discussion here and informative. You're listening to the program, The Mailbox. We come right back after these messages.
Integrity man, I am a man. Man. I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes.
Phosphorus is having a super lighting sale. Yes, that's right, with LED emergency bulbs from $500. Come get your chandeliers, wall lamps, ceiling fixtures, and so much more. From October 1 to 31, shop and enjoy great deals at Phosphorus in Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Or visit www.phosphorus.com/shop. What are you waiting for? Enjoy massive discounts only at Phosphorus. Open Sundays.
I'm Tammy.
I'm Wayne.
And we are
$999 plus GCT. Garden Road is for the way you live. Flow, Jamaica's network. Visit discoverflow.co. Conditions apply.
When you've been around for 100 years, you've seen a lot. And at Grace, we've seen you enjoying meals while watching a movie, sometimes while watching a game, or being extra picky while watching your weight. We've been there serving up meals for the big moments and helping you take care of the little ones when that lunch bell rings. And with 100 years of great taste that has moved generations, you can be sure celebrating 100 years of taste that moves you.
I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes. Strong man, integrity man. I am a man, I am a man, I am a man.
Welcome back to the program, The Mailbox. You're live here on Love 101, the family station, the number one station in this nation of Jamaica. We are talking about the substance abusing man, those who have abuse, and we have heard the new terminology, substance misuse, more than it is a drug abuse. And we are here with Dr. Kirk Jones, CEO of Comfort Medical Services, and Mr. Daniel Brown, substance abuse officer at the National Council on Drug Abuse. Mr. Brown, they will have to change that name soon to National Council on Substance Misuse, I suppose. I'm not sure. So welcome back, and we want to again thank our sponsors, Phosphorus Company Limited, your electrical and lighting solar people who work with us. We have a question on social media, and the question is, do you think a man's environment or his friends can impact him to start smoking, drinking, or sniffing or snorting? It is what we are asking on YouTube and Facebook. That's our question. Remember, you can respond to us through our WhatsApp number, and you may also be in touch with us by virtue of phone. And so the numbers are 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328. The WhatsApp number 997-3125, and the air code is 876. And so we're going to go straight into the meat of the matter. Is there a difference, Mr. Brown? Is there a difference? Is there a recognizable difference in the gender in terms of substance misuse? Do our men more than female misuse these substances, or is it the other way around? What does the statistics and the research show?
All right. So what is the data shows at this moment is basically that it's almost the females are stepping up. So basically, it's almost 50-50. So normally the males always outlead the females pertaining to substance use, but over a period of time now that is shifted and it's changing. I also want to back up little pertaining to there's also some data out there which shows that the elderly population are also increasing when it comes to drug use. Not only does the young persons, but older persons as well. So the what I call it demographics is changing. So that is evolving over time.
Wow, Dr. Jones, thank you, Mr. Brown. Dr. Jones, we recently saw some things happening in our schools here. What do you know whether or not in our schools this substance abuse, substance misuse has increased? What is happening in our schools currently?
Well, I can tell you that from a personal point of view, as a, what I should say, as a, not personal, but as a professional point of view, seeing patients on a daily basis, I can't really say to whether or not the change that has taken place on a school level or on a high school level. I'm probably just as informed as it would be as the outside persons who are looking in from, news reports and so forth. But what I can say though is from close interaction from persons who are of that age group, because frankly, I look relatively young just the same. So a lot of them tend to confide within me. They talk to me. I hear of stories. They share stuff with me. And if I'm to compare those stories that I have with my time as a high school student, when I was in high school, so forth, I would say that there isn't much significant change as to the use or the misuse of substances during that age group. However, what I would say is maybe there is an introduction of new types of drugs. Probably, time has changed because when I was in high school, I wasn't hearing about lean. I wasn't hearing about Molly. I wasn't hearing about all those things, but now it is more widely talked about in this generation or this age group, the ones that are in high school now. And I know marijuana misuse, that's always been around. I don't think though, basically, that, for example, cocaine and other opioids are being used on a large scale as alcohol and all those other aforementioned drugs that I mentioned. But really and truly, to be honest, from my point of view, I think there is a change in terms of the type of drugs that are being misused, but not necessarily the tendency for them to want to, misuse drugs. Furthermore, what I'd say is that that age group really and truly is the age of introduction, really and truly, age of introduction. You even mentioned about your particular story, peer pressure and all, and we shouldn't downplay the effect of peer pressure or environmental stressors, basically. So even family can be a very dangerous place as much as it should be a secure place for young people as well. So that's my few cents to, add to this conversation.
Those cents sounds like dollars, Dr. Jones. Thank you for sharing them. Mr. Brown, drug abuse risk factors. What are some of the risk factors involved in persons misusing? We hear even of the misuse of morphine. Tell us a bit more about the drug abuse risk factors.
All right. So some of the risk factors are peer using friends. Some of the friends that our peers have, they use substances. You're talking about the broken home, like the doctor mentioned a while ago. I should also mention a lot of our students, our younger persons, having difficulty adjusting to back after COVID. So a lot of things changed after COVID. So most of them now are basically deal with some psychological problems. So they're using substances in order to escape from some of the pressures that they're facing. There was a way to call it now. I think in the Star, I'm not sure if it was today or yesterday, but there was an article about the increased use of porn and drug use within schools in Jamaica. So there's quite a few increases what we have been seeing. We are about to do our national household survey island-wide, what will give us a true reflection of the substance use within our country. So we're about to embark on that to actually we design our prevention programs around the data what is available.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel Brown. He is a substance abuse officer at National Council on Drug Abuse. For those who may just be tuning in, we also have with us Dr. Kirk Jones. He's a medical doctor and founder, CEO at Comfort Homes Medical Services, and we're discussing the substance abusing man. I have a difficulty pronouncing that. Men who abuse substances or misuse for what we have learned today. Is it that our society, we spoke a little bit to marijuana culturally in Jamaica, when it comes on to our men, is it that that is one of the drugs that is mostly misused or abused in our nation? Dr. Jones, what are you seeing in your medical services? And what effect can you speak to, Mr. Brown, on the issue of marijuana after Mr. Jones has responded?
Okay. So marijuana for sure has a lot of long-term effects. So you would see, for example, the elderly patients probably will be presenting more with particular conditions, and they'll tell you, boy, doc, I think it's due to me. Me used to have over 10 years exposure on, alcohol abuse, let's say even marijuana use as well. You have to be really careful though, because there is a real, what I should say, stigma attached. We are now in a time where the benefits of marijuana as a medication, firstly, as a medical drug, right? Doctors are prescribing it, GPs are prescribing marijuana. Oil, that is, extracts or certain components of it to help with certain medical conditions now. And you will have patients that will tell you, hey, no, I don't want that. I don't want any marijuana. Don't give that to me. Even explain to them, say, hey, it's just an extract, right? And there are others that will widely and are open to trying these things as well, to trying it. If I was to tell, let's say, a younger patient, let's try some marijuana oil or extract of marijuana, they'd say, okay, I'm willing to try it. I think that marijuana use amongst patients who are younger, it has not slowed down. I think it has increased, as a matter of fact. They use it socially, just even a basic interaction. Let's say a one-on-one talk, they smoke to reason. Based on the conversations, it starts to give them a higher level of reasoning or a higher level of understanding. It's used as a stress relief, pain relief, so they use it in all kind of ways, and it's not slowing down. It really isn't. Even the younger ones from 14, 13 years of age, 12 years, they use it on a social basis regularly.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jones. Mr. Brown, we are going to be taking your response just shortly after we take this time signal break. You're listening to the program The Mailbox here on Love 101, the family station that is the number one station. So we're going to take a break and come right back to these two interesting gentlemen as we speak to the substance abuse man.
I am a man, yes. Strong man. Integrity man, I am a man.
When you say phosphorus, you say electrical, SWA cables, conduits, transformers, and breakers. When you say phosphorus, you say lighting, chandeliers, and more. When you say phosphorus, you say LEDs and solar water heaters. Phosphorus is electrical, lighting, solar, and LEDs. Visit us today, Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Phosphorus.
Come here, Lizzie. We have to leave now, but I'm so glad I can carry my Love 101 FM with me anywhere me go.
How you do that?
What do you mean? I have the Love 101 FM app on my phone, so no matter wherever support me go, I just click on the app and prop. My Love 101 is right here with me on my iPhone.
But after me not have iPhone, so how me I go here?
Simply go to your Play Store on your Android phone. Search for Love 101 FM. The red app with the Love 101 logo will show up, and you just download it. Even my friend in New York did a listen Love the other day. Clear in New York, my dear. And you know how him did a listen?
Let me guess.
On the Love 101 FM app.
All right then, all right. Me I go download it so I can have love with me to anywhere me go. Have you downloaded the Love 101 FM app? Take Love 101 FM with you anywhere and listen anytime via the Love 101 app. Available in your Play Store for Android phones and on your iPhone in the App Store. Love 101 FM. We are here, there, and everywhere. The family station.
Love 101. The family station.
The time by Grace Taste That Movie is
2 minutes past 6 o'clock here on a Wednesday evening. Welcome back to the program, The Mailbox. You're live here in Love 101 FM. We're live on YouTube and Facebook as well. So you may tune in there. We have with us two guests, Dr. Kirk Jones, the medical doctor, founder, CEO at Comfy Home Medical Services, and Mr. Daniel Brown, substance abuse officer at the National Council on Drug Abuse. We're talking about the substance abusing man. And we want you to stay in touch with us. If you need to call us and be a part of the discussion, the number to call is 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328. You can comment via social media, WhatsApp, text us. The voice notes must be no longer than 30 seconds. The number is 876-997-3125. Before we took a break, we're talking about marijuana use amongst our males in Jamaica. Mr. Daniel Brown, what have you seen there at the National Council on Drug Abuse? You know, when we were children, our mothers and parents and grandparents usually have a buckle with little marijuana, leaf, white rum.
Hey, Courtney.
Yes.
Courtney, just want the gentleman to comment on something for me.
You sound like you have your some instrument on. There's a feedback, and you have gone muted again, Kev. We haven't heard your question of what you want them to comment on. You are muted, Kev.
Hi, Courtney, can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Are you hearing me, Courtney?
Yes, we're hearing you, Kevin. Go ahead. We seem to be having a little bit of technical difficulty. There seems to be a delay. And so we're not sure what's happening there. We apologize for this technical difficulty that we're having. Kevin, you may want to type your question in the column, and so we can present it so that those on here can hear us, and those who are live also will experience what you have to say. So, Mr. Brown, the marijuana use amongst our male. Many of us were introduced to marijuana through the liquor bucket with white rum and drinking it, you know, liquor alcohol. So we had two substances mixed together. And we were told, as Dr. Jones said, it helped, you know, not our understanding, but in our overstanding. Tell us.
You said understanding.
There you go. Tell us a bit about what you have observed there, especially amongst our males.
All right, so when it comes to our males, one of the problems that our males have is that we don't know how to cope properly with stress, right? So majority of the time, let's say we learn how to deal with stress from earlier years. The problem when you don't learn how to deal with stress in a positive way, you turn to something outside of yourself in order to solve the problem. So most person learn to either turn to alcohol, ganja, tobacco early. So is that we're using an external thing to deal with an internal problem. Because when I say man not talk about them problem, you know, man rather go smoke or drink or do something else. But the problem is when you teach yourself at an early age to depend on a substance like ganja, as you get older, that substance now is a part of your life. You can't function without using it, right? So the doc mentioned earlier about medicinal cannabis, right? So we do have medicinal cannabis which is extracted. So we're looking for the CBD, For persons who smoke ganja, we're talking more about the THC, what basically stands for tetrahydrocannabinol. So that has to do with when a man says, boy, I want to smoke some high-grade weed. The higher the grade of cannabis or ganja is, the more THC found inside of it, right? So a lot of persons are dealing with internal matters using an external substance. So the more the external substance is present, the more you don't deal with it internally. So that's why most of the man them know when I talk about the problem. I did a presentation recently with a group of young men where we're discussing the same thing. And one of them says, sir, our culture expects us not to be emotional. We can't show our pain, so we have to tough it out. So sometimes when we tough it out and we can't manage, we have to go smoke in order just to ease off of the pressure. So there's different reasons why persons use, right? So ganja, alcohol, tobacco are what we call traditional drugs. We also have new and emerging drugs that are coming on our market, which our younger population is now gravitating to. So those are what we call it now, the pill popping generation, the Molly, the ecstasy, the Valium, the different types of things what our children are using, morphine. So there's these different things what are presently being used in our country.
And I believe, thank you, Mr. Brown. Our addiction, it comes from a dependency and not finding another outlet or positive outlet to deal with it. As you said, men who are taught not to be emotional, otherwise they're behaving like women, seek other ways out. Yes, the rum bar.
Like back in the day, we used to play football. We used to play cricket. We used to do all these outside activities in order to deal with our inner stress. But those are now, basically, we're not doing those again. So now we're more gravitating toward the most men who can't deal with internal problems are gravitating to something that can help quiet the mind. You know what, they step on the street side, but I start me just need all the meds, because we just need to just ease off.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Dr. Jones, and just going along the same route as Dr. Brown just came up talking about the emotional, psychological traumas that we may experience. When one becomes addicted, how can we now help to the road to recovery or breaking that addiction? What can be done? You're muted, Dr. Jones.
Right. Good question, actually. Really and truly, substance abuse or substance misuse, my apologies, starts with the mind, and it starts with a certain level of training. It really depends on a certain level of coping, right? And when it gets to a stage where there is so much of a heavy dependence, that you're going an entire day with smoking 2, 3, 4 packs of cigarettes. If it is that you end up you roll up about 10 spliffs. I know guys my age who they can't seem to function on a daily basis without having at least 3 spliffs rolled up. So them carry 3 to work, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, so that make it 5 in total, but 3 go with them to work. And when you ask them, so how you plan to deal with all of that through the day? You think your boss, think your clients probably might smell that or them pick up something funny about you. Man, them say, no, there's lunch break, So them in lunch break, they take it instead of eating food and relaxing, thinking, clearing the mind. That's what they choose to do instead. But not to stray, what I would say is that first you have to seek a certain level of intervention. When you're so dependent, handling it on your own becomes a little bit more difficult. What we normally advise is that at first you can speak to if you have a certain social support or structure. That is, if you have family structure, family that is good enough, that you can depend upon or talk to. If you're part of a society like a church, a particular group, we always say reach out to them first. If not, if it gets to a point where it starts affecting you mentally, it starts driving certain psychotic features, certain things, and we say, hey, you might need to go to see a psychologist, a psychotherapist, or a psych. Then if it's medical, you get to see a psychiatrist. You may go on medical therapy, but medical therapy alone isn't sufficient. It's about attacking the initial cause, which is substance misuse. So it's about developing a coping mechanism. It's about the mind. It's about handling there. When it is that they have developed a way to stay away from it, to be able to function on a daily basis without, thinking about going on to that, being able to say no to this particular type of lifestyle. They still need long-term coaching, long-term care, because what you will find is that unfortunately sometimes there are certain events that may reoccur, right, that sends them back into a relapse phase. But the aim is to keep them on a continuous phase of growth, keep just checking on them, making sure that they're capable of maintaining themselves, and they're sticking to the plan that you have given them as a medical professional. It is not just from a doctor's point of view, but there's multiple arms that need to come in play, right? So just as how Mr. Brown, who is a substance misuse officer, you're drawing for certain persons, you're drawing for psychologists, you're drawing for these persons, you're drawing for what we call them. Well, I don't remember the name, but they normally go to patients' homes as well if they live with mom and dad and so forth. They're checking the household, which I think everything is all right. So all in all, it's a multidisciplinary approach, right?
Thank you very much, Dr. Jones. Mr. Brown, just going.
So, Courtney, one of
Kevin.
our professionals can give us a sense, of what needs to be done with the prevention. Did we look at some of the prevention strategies that our young people can actually utilize so we don't get to the substance use or the abuse?
Mr. Brown, care to address that?
All right,
Prevention.
So some of the prevention, what we're talking about, we're talking about participation in activities in school. Like, for example, I was a part of the scouts in school. Some person are part of the cadets. Some church, family communication. Like, for example, when we used to come home from school, the family, we used to have dinner together around the table. We used to talk about different things. The family not communicating again. Football, cricket, any sports activity, hiking, camp. There's a whole bunch of different things that we can do in order to try to delay or stop the onset of substance use. Today my office of prevention, as I mentioned. So today I was at a primary school talking to us young from grade 1 to grade 3. So we are giving the information to our youths as early as possible, because they're also seeing adults using substance. So remember, 80% of what 80% is filtered through our eyes, how we learn, based when it comes to our senses. So when our children see somebody smoking, or one of the ways somebody start using cigarette or ganja first is when a family member or somebody drops the butt. What the child goes and do? Go and take it up and use it. So, and then now they start moving from experimentation all the way down to addiction. I should mention that earlier mentioned about a substance use disorder. That's what we're calling it now. There are certain criteria what has to be met before we can diagnose the person as having a substance use disorder. Now, one was mentioned that the person was not, who is smoking, it's affecting their jobs. They're smoking and affecting their relationship. They're smoking, there's different definition criteria before I can say a person is addicted to a substance. When it comes to the youth and the prevention, one thing what we don't also talk about, we talk about substance, but we don't talk about the addiction to social media. So what that data is also showing us is that the same thing what ganja does to the developing brain is the same thing too much social media is doing to the same brain, right? So we're talking about brain function here. So their brain is not yet fully mature until in their 20s. So a lot of the problems when our children, the youngest person I have seen at my office for ganja use was 7 years old. And the reason why that person was 7 is that the adult gave them the ganja for smoke. So then we started the prevention work early, right? So a lot of our children are seeing, listening, and then doing whatever they are influencing them. All right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. We're going to take our final break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking a bit more on how is it that persons get help? How can you help other men who you see abusing? What and how do we get help for them? We take this final break here on the mailbox, and we come right back after these messages.
Strong man, integrity man, I am a man.
Hey, me count, you count, census say all of we count, hey, you count, me count, census say all of we count, hey, information needed to develop the community, them, scouts them out and I get the reports, so don't bother hide when you see them,
Census 2022!
The Jamaican census will be conducted between September and December 2022.
You go, me go, census, all of we go.
Planning to sit the May-June CXC exams privately? Register with Overseas Examinations Commission before the registration deadline, Friday, November 25. Visit our Kingston office or Montego Bay office to complete your application form or send an email to help@overseasexams.org.jm. Follow our social media pages at Overseas Exams for more details. Remember, if you plan to sit the May-June CXC exams privately, the registration deadline is November 25.
When you say phosphorus, you say electrical. SWA cables, conduits, transformers, and breakers. When you say phosphorus, you say lighting, chandeliers, and more. When you say phosphorus, you say LEDs and solar water heaters. Phosphorus is electrical, lighting, solar, and LEDs. Visit us today, Kingston, Mandeville, and Montego Bay. Phosphorus.
This Christmas, get prizes galore shopping in a Berger Wonderland. The time by Berger for lasting beauty and protection is
17 minutes past the hour 6 here on Love 101, the family station. You're on the program The Mailbox, here every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. And indeed, Kevin Bailey and Courtney Morrison are your co-hosts. We have with us Dr. Kirk Jones, CEO at Comfort Medical Services, and Dr. Daniel Brown, who is a substance misuse officer at the National Council on Drug Abuse. We're talking about the substance abusing man. Kevin, I believe you had a question you wanted to ask us before we move on.
Yes, I wanted to get the gentleman's perspective too on this big challenge of our culture, specifically our music. And would you say that the music actually pushes persons to abuse drugs or substance? And if so, how can we face that Goliath? What can be done from your respective positions? Just a comment on culture, specifically music and the connection with abuse of substance. Gentlemen.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I mean, if we were to take a deep look on where our music is coming from, let's say from, Woy, as my mother used to call me, right?
Yes.
The use of marijuana has been always sung about. It's always been within the whole art form of dance hall, that is. And my mom would tell me, she grew up close to marijuana. She had an entire marijuana field because her father was a Rastafarian. Did it affect her in terms of her use of marijuana? Did my mother become a chronic smoker? Did she become dependent on it? No, my mom has never smoked in all her life. Let's fast forward a bit to now. So is dancehall now and the singing or the use of drugs, for example, Molly is being sung about crazy now. It's in dancehall forms now, very, very, very rampant. We talk about marijuana. Marijuana is not as rampant as it is now compared to even Molly, that as its use and implementation in the songs. A lot of children, yes, would say, I heard about it from the song, and them say, boy, hear what, trying this, may help me in this way. I see my friends and them look cool. But I think it really depends on the person itself and also the household that they're from and the level of mental fortitude. That's the truth of the matter. Decision making is something that's very important, and it's a very important role in a person's life. If you want to talk about a 12-year-old male, deciding to use marijuana. The truth of the matter is, compared to a female is a bit more mature, or they mature much earlier than males, right? A male may be pushed more likely to try things, but would I say dance hall directly impacting his choice? Not necessarily. There may be some influence, yes. There is some influence, but not as strongly or heavily impacted, I think, as compared to Dr. Brown's analogy before, where a child saw a cigarette bump on the ground, take it up, smoke, and he becomes a smoker. Maybe he sees his father smoking on a daily basis. A lot of our household has fathers smoking on a 24/7 basis, right? And so we just believe that that's the norm. So compare the impact of family household as compared to dance hall. And I think maybe, yes, it does have some impact, but I don't think it's the sole reason as to why, are the most dangerous reason as to why our population, our culture, our Jamaicans are taking this up.
Thank you, Dr. Kirk Jones. Mr. Brown,
Look,
anything to say?
all right, so I'll come across this question. I'll answer this question from this perspective, based on where the person is at when it comes to especially the where they are in their brain, how they use their brain. For example, it's not every adult is an adult. Sometimes you talk to a big man, it's like you're talking to a child. So persons age differently at different points. All right, let's get that out there. So back in many years ago, when the music was more cultural, so you have a lot of Peter Touch, Bob Marley, Dennis Brown, all of those different persons. They were singing more cultural music. So those music inspire, uplift our entire nation. So it's like the music was guiding the people. But then when it comes to liberation, different things. Now let's fast forward now to a different generation who has somehow in many ways moved away from those elders and now start singing more of, I would call it the culture infusion. What that means is this: a lot of things what is taking place in our culture is being introduced or override by other cultures. Like lean, like a couple years ago when Lil Wayne and those different artists were singing about lean, you had a lot of the artists down here singing about lean, and then when you got into the dance, you see the foam cups with the purple drinks and also different things. Now you're talking about Molly. So different artists now promoting Molly, while the general population has not started using Molly. What we are finding out that the name is like a lot of persons know what is Molly. Is not the, as I mentioned before, we are about to do our national household survey, will give us a better picture of exactly what is going on when it comes to the actual use. But based on the surveys what we did in school recently, it shows that majority of our students across the island has heard the songs. Some may have tried lean, some may have not tried it. But what it shows is that the information, the artists in some ways do impact a generation, especially within their peers, their age group. So if you look at most of the younger artists now, they're more heavily influenced. They have more influence on that generation more than the teachers, more than the parents, more than everybody. It's like if you remember the three monkeys, right? One has his hand over his ears, one has the hands over his eyes, and one over his mouth. Most of the time we have to be careful what our children hear, because once you hear it, the conscious mind hear it. The problem is not the hearing it, is the repeat hearing that thing, then it goes into the subconscious mind, and that is where behavior changes. And then no, it's like once that happens, it influences them eventually to want to try it. Like in primary school, but most parents are person on this platform. Remember when you used to have the chalk? So what the children used to do at a particular time was use the chalk, rub out in the paper, roll it like one spliff, put it in their mouth, and pop it. So eventually what they're doing is, although they're not smoking ganja, they're imitating it from early so that when the real thing comes later, it's much easier for them to try it. So there's different factors to consider when we're talking about this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brown, Substance Abuse Officer at NCDC. We have a comment from Faith from Washington Gardens, which will lead us, I believe, as we only have 3 minutes left. She says, good evening. It's from social media. She says, good evening to everyone. What help is there for parents with ganja smokers who are giving problem, especially our male? You know, she has posted that question to us. Who would want to answer that question, Dr. Jones, Mr. Brown, or both?
Well, I believe more than likely for a scenario like this, having and I've seen this before. Let's say a teenager in home who's probably the eldest sibling, right? Is a chronic marijuana user, and it does show in terms of his behavior. So his behavioral patterns kind of change, and sometimes it can damage the whole family structure in home as well. What I'd say is the most important thing that you can do. No parent really brings a chronic smoker to a doctor and say, "Hey, doc, help me with this child." No. If they're going to school, they can speak firstly with a guidance counselor. There are other ways that they can get through to professional counseling and professional intervention. I think Mr. Brown, who is a substance abuse officer, would have had more of these referrals coming into him. So I guess he would be even much more better oriented to give him more information and his experiences with such cases, because these are really and truly a social issue or a social structure or something that has to be addressed from that point of view or perspective.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jones. Mr. Brown, how do we deal with these issues? Once there was a Patricia House Teen Challenge that helped with these situations. Don't know if they still exist. How do people get help when they see someone who is substance misusing? How do they go about ensuring the help is afforded?
All right, so if we're going to separate pertaining to youths and adults. So let me put this out there. Right, this number we have a helpline. So if any family member out there has a family member or a friend what needs assistance when it comes to substance abuse, our number is 564-4357. So that is 564-HELP. You can either text us, WhatsApp us, send us a please call me, and we'll call you back. We have officers island-wide what are ready and available to assist you. For parents who have, for the same parent who send a message, just contact us. We'll schedule an assessment for you to come in. All our services are free of cost. You are not alone. We have trained professionals out there who can help you and help your child. One of the sad reality what we face today is me personally we have seen over the past few weeks an influx of mother and child coming in for counseling session. Most of the time, some of our children are raising themselves. Not only are they raising themselves, the social media is raising them. So we have a lot of them starting to use a substance, and it's like we have to take them through a detox. Yes, Teen Challenge is still open. Patricia House is about to be open, and I think Hot Soap by Yui will open soon. But most of these persons are not necessary. That is inpatient treatment. Most of our youths require outpatient treatment. So all you have to do is just call our number. We'll set up an appointment and we can do the assessment, and we can basically a trained professional will be assigned to your case to help you and your child. For most of the youths or young persons who are using us need basically prevention work, right? So we just work with them where they're at to deal with some of the coping strategies. Most has low to no coping skills. So we're building their coping skills, we're building their resistance skills, and we're building their self-esteem and their self-worth. So there's a lot of things that has to be done with this. And we're also training parents, because what we also realize, and I will share a story for my point, is that a mother was washing her clothes one day, and her 11-year-old son she sent to the shop to buy a cigarette. And when the son came back with the cigarette, the mother told him to light it because her hand was wet. So right there, that's negative parenting. So we have to be teaching our parents parental skills, because not every parent is a parent. So there's different factors that contribute to drug use or early substance use. For adults, the issue is we can a lot of persons are calling on behalf of somebody, and when the person calls, they say they're not ready yet for any assistance. So we have to meet the person where they're at. So basically, it depends on the counsel what is available. I can use different techniques in order to get them in. But if a person not yet ready to change, they won't change. All right?
Thank you. We have to end there. Our time is up. Please remember that number, those who are listening, 564-HELP. That's how you get in touch with the National Council on Drug Abuse. It's their helpline. And so we want to say thanks to Tony K. Bromfield, to our technical engineer, Daniel Brown, to Dr. Kirk Jones, and Mr. Daniel Brown for being here with us, our viewers, our listeners, our participants. Thank you very much.
That's right. Listeners, yes, Courtney, they can share and comment on our episode on our YouTube channel. And previous episodes are also available for viewing, and you can look at Love 101 FM Jamaica. We leave this quote with you. Though no one can go back and make a brand new start, anyone can start from now and make a brand new ending. Carl Bard.
Powerful. Catch you next week. Same place, same time. This was the Mailbox Night. Was sponsored by Fosrich Company Limited, your electrical, solar, and lighting people. And brought to you by Love 101, the family station, the #1 gospel station here in Jamaica. Next week, same place. Monday. Peace.
Monday.
Strong man, integrity man, I am a man. Hey man. I am a man, I am a man, I am a man, yes.